What up, everybody? Welcome to the Dolphins Dive Bar. This is the week 14 recap, and our Dolphins, our beloved Dolphins, are winners in an exciting slash crazy slash like what the hell is going on with this football game? The Dolphins beat the division rivals, the stinking Jets. Miami wins it in overtime. Final score 32-26. Uh, Dolphins, I mean, listen, bro. I don't care. Like, I don't care who the opponent is. Well, I do care in this sense because, a lot of people are like, man, it's the Jets, dude. The Jets suck. Yeah, the Jets suck, okay? Dolphins aren't all that great either. And it's a division game, so you know that they know you. So, they're going to give you their best effort. And for a long time, they did. Like, Miami couldn't stop them on defense. They scored in like their first 5 possessions or so. Thankfully, it wasn't all touchdowns. But, I mean, defense was getting chewed up, couldn't really do nothing. So, to pull that off and, like, pull it off like that, having to come from behind and, sealing the win and getting in overtime, it's impressive. It was impressive. So before we really break it into it, and before I yap more about it, we're gonna go with the Barcelo. I mean, if you watch this, you know me. I just, I'm a fan of the Dominican rums. So I'm gonna crack like a finger or two of this, and yeah, we'll talk about the game. The pop. So once again, Dolphins beat the Jets in OT, 32 to 26. This is a crazy stat. Like the Jets haven't won in Miami since like 2014, bro. It's been like 10 years. They've taken 10 L's in a row at the Rock. I mean, like I gotta go back and look at that because I shouldn't just trust what an announcer says uh, off the rip. I should do my own research. That's why you watch the show because I do so much research, make sure I get everything right. But I mean, that's a crazy stat, right? Another crazy stat is Aaron Rodgers. He went 27 for 39 with 339 yards. That's his first game throwing over 300 yards in like 3 years, right? But the Tua man, you talk about 300 yards in a game. The high flying Hawaiian. Well, I mean, he's Samoan, but you live in Hawaii a year. He's a local boy, right? Tua throws for 300 yards for like his third game in a row. Buddy, he's, I mean, I admit, man, I gave Tua a lot of shit. I give Tua a lot of shit, you know, uh, because I want to see Josh Allen, I want to see Lamar. I want to see Mahomes, Tua's not that guy. But you don't have to be that guy to succeed in the league, bro. Like, you can win a Super Bowl by not being like the most impressive athlete out on the field. You could like okay, through like the third quarter, the dude was averaging 3.6 yards a pop, like of airtime with the ball. So his throws were only going like 3.5 yards, and then the receivers are doing the rest, right? But I mean, hey, if that's what you got to do, that's what you got to do. I mean, he hasn't thrown picks in like he hasn't thrown a pick in multiple games. He went 33 for 47 with 331 yards, 2 touchdown passes. Didn't get sacked. That's like I think did he get sacked last week? No, he got all right. He got tore up versus Green Bay, but he didn't get touched really this week. Good pass protection by the line. That's the only thing that they're good for. I mean, Teron Armstead got hurt. He was playing hurt and he just couldn't continue. So dude, they got that rookie and what's his name, Paul or whatever. And dude, trial by fire, right? And all right, we got something in that kid. So let him develop. So we'll see. So the game starts off. You see Raheem Mostert on the sideline. We had no Mostert today. Dude's dealing with a bum hip. you know, Dolphins first drive, they're moving the ball decent down the field, throwing, and you getting Tyreek Hill and those guys involved early. I mean, Tyreek had like 10 catches for like over 100 yards and he had a touchdown, right? And then you getting Jalen Waddle involved early. He had 9 catches for 99. Tua spread the ball out to his receivers. He had 8 guys catch a pass, right? 8 from Devon Achane with 6 catches. So like I said, Hill and Waddle with like 19 catches in between the two of them. And then you go down the line from like just about every receiver. The only guys that really didn't catch was like Malik Washington and somebody else. But Malik made up for it on a great return. But we'll get to him later. In that first drive, Miami gets down there to go score. They get like the goal to go situation at the wall. It's like same old crap from the Dolphins that like frustrates me in the beginning, in the middle parts of the season, and parts of last season. Like they're still doing some of the same plays. They're still trying to throw. They still try to throw a fade to Tyreek in the corner of the end zone. They still trying to run Achane at the one. Like I got mad because it was like they ran him at the one. He gets stuffed, right? And then I'm like, oh my god, are we still doing this? The very next play, they double down, give it to Achane. He actually scores a touchdown, right? And then Jason Sanders, the November AFC Special Teams Player of the Month, misses his first extra point in like 75 attempts. So I watched that happen, knowing me, unfortunately, the pessimistic person that I am, the negative Nancy, right away. First drive of the game, I'm like, oh man, these fucking guys just going to win this stupid game. They're going to win it by a point because this freaking guy can't make an extra point, misses the kick. It's going to put a detriment on us. But buddy, was I wrong? Because Jason Sanders, all right, he got that little thing out the way. He's like that 4 for 4 on the field goals. 2 of them went 50+ yards, long of 57. So you're looking at that and like, you get all this here. He's like, what, that little guy? I wouldn't worry about that little guy. Dude was perfect. I mean, clutch at the end of the game, clutch at every point of the game, minus one missed stupid extra point. I mean, all throughout the game, the offense was just, making plays when they had to. Because look, this was an ugly game, right? The offense, I mean, they could not run the freaking football. For whatever reason, they can just not run. They cannot open up the holes, man. Devon Achane had 14 carries for 24 yards. That's like a buck and a half. 1.7 yards a pop. You got a touchdown, sure, but dude, that ain't running. Jalen Wright, 2 carries for 7 yards. I mean, it's gonna be hard to win like that, especially later in the season when we're gonna be on the road a lot. I think like 3 out of our last 4 are on the road. They're gonna be cold. 2 of those 3 are gonna be cold. You're gonna have to run the football. Like that, not gonna cut it. So that was one of the bad parts of the offense. Being a little stubborn with some of the, like I said, in that first drive with the fade and trying to run Achane a lot from the one, and like plays like Tua almost throwing a screen and getting Achane just absolutely blown up. I mean, the dude got like creamed like fucking corn. The guy's just on the side. I mean, on the ground, like just looking concussed, right? They had to take him out of the game, bring him to the blue tent. They had to do all the tests on him. He looked in rough shape, and he did suffer a concussion earlier in the year, so that was a focus, or that was a concern. Definitely an area of concern, because without Mostert playing, what are they going to do? Just lean heavily on Jalen Wright? I mean, Jeff Wilson? I mean, doesn't matter who's in there. Nobody's running the ball, and Achane is, he was your 3rd best receiver of the game. So luckily, he was able to come back in, and he didn't make, like I said, he didn't make much of a difference on the ground, but his pass catching abilities, put him in a good spot today for sure. Tyreek, bro, like I said, 10 for 115 and a touchdown. Longest was 21. He was getting good, timely catches throughout the day. Waddle was making catches. Waddle had a great 4th down catch. Dolphins, offense, they sucked on 3rd down. They were like 1 for 9 on 3rd down, but they were 2 for 2 on 4th. Both teams were 2 for 2 on 4th. Just went like 4 for 12 on 3rd down. So getting these guys off the field was a little bit, not getting them off the field was a problem when they get to 3rd down, but those 4th or shorts, I mean, getting them off the field was a problem because they just, they got them both, right? Both teams. And McDaniel, Tua, please, can we just get rid of the shovel pass? Like, the no-look shovel pass. It's not working. Every time you do it, like, when you did it today in the game, like, John Smith, that was like his one target in the first half. or I'm sorry, his one target in the whole freaking game. Because that shovel pass actually came in like in the third or fourth quarter in the second half, and that was his only attempt of the regulation time of the game in the first four quarters, right? I mean, dude just wasn't ready for it. So Tua, like, enough with the no look shovel pass. Like, it doesn't look cool. It's actually being detrimental to us because he tried it a few times this season. I think it's only worked once. A couple times it just got blown up. I mean, come on, bro. You got to get John involved, right? Like, McDaniel, Tua, play calling, the availability to get open. Like, John had 3 catches on the game and 1 touchdown. All of his stats showed up in overtime. And he caught, like, when you say, like, give your dynamic players the ball and let them make a play, I mean, the dude got 36 yards on 2 plays, and both plays were screen passes. Just put the ball in his damn hands and let him run, because when he's running with the ball, I mean, he looks like a great playmaker out there. He's nimble, he's quick, he can change directions, but he's tough. He will put a motherfucker down in the dirt, like, no problem. So feed him the ball more, and he had a beautiful catch. That catch in overtime was beautiful, dude. Just to a beautiful, beautiful throw by Lefty. Just in corner of the end zone, John goes, makes a play, hits the ground, comes up with it, and it's game over, man. Like, as soon as overtime started and Miami, winds up, or when the Jets wind up losing that coin toss, Miami wins it. And it's like, no, we ain't kicking field goals, bro. We're going for the jugular. We're going down there. And they moved down there quick. I mean, like I said, 37 yards on just the first 2 passes to Janu. And that sets you up for for a touchdown right there. Good, bad, ugly. Good was part of the offense. Bad, like, defense today. Defense was rough. I mean, they made a play at the end when they had to make a stop, but they were rough all day. They allowed the Jets to just move up the field methodically, up and down the field, on the ground, through the air. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, dude had, what we said earlier, 339 yards with a touchdown. Garrett Wilson had 7 catches for a $114. Devontae Adams had 9 catches for 109 yards with the touchdown, right? So they could not stop nothing. Defense looked old. They looked tired. They looked weak. They looked frail. The missing tackle shit from last week showed its head a little bit. Jalen Ramsey just had a rough game. I mean, dude's an all-star, Pro Bowler, all that, Super Bowl champ. I mean, I'm not going to talk shit on his ability. Guy had a bad game. It happens. Unfortunately, it happened against the Jets. But, I mean, look, dude, those receivers are fucking good. Like, Devontae Adams is a damn good receiver. Garrett Wilson is a good receiver. Devontae's great. Garrett Wilson's really good. So it's like 1 and 2 with a Hall of Famer throwing him that biscuit. Green Bay. Look at me. Devontae, Aaron, No, having the Jets have to kick a field goal at the end of the game with plenty of time left for Miami to get the ball and move it back down the field. Perfect, right? I mean, come on. Like, they're going to have a game. You're not going to contain those guys the whole time. So, it was rough. It was rough in the secondary for sure today. But, I mean, with all the injuries and the rotations and the people, it's just, I mean, you just got to put so many new faces back there. And it's like, dude, but this is dudes on the team that is like, damn, okay, this guy just came up. All right, let's see what you got. Also with the secondary, like, dude, those receivers, not just the start, like, everybody, they were just wide open, man. Like, the second half started out with a huge pass play with the damn receivers wide open. It's like every time you look, like, somebody's with the coverage, somebody's giving up the man. He's like, oh, he's coming across, he's up here. He's like, all right, I'm dropping off of him. You pick him up. There was no communication out there. Nobody picked up the receivers. Every time a motherfucker was just wide open catching the ball and just catching and running on just open grass. It's like, dude, cover somebody. One of those, I said the Jets went 2 for 2 on 4th down. One of those fucking 4th downs, Jalen Ramsey getting beat by Garrett Wilson. And dude, it was like a 4th and 4, 4th and 2, whatever. Miami gets burnt for like 34 yards. And then on that play, you get Chop Robinson hurt. Like, there was a few times, man, Miami just, like, the defense. You talk about you can't get off the field. The penalties, like, bad penalties would happen. Like, Zach Sealer, there's a huge sack, and Zach Sealer gets called for a hold because he freaking winds up like pulling the center down or something, so old buddy could get through it and just hit Rogers or Rogers. Rogers got sacked 3 times. I mean, the front four was coming at it. Zach Sealer's a fucking beast, dude. Dude's an animal. Could you imagine him and Van Ginkel out there rushing the quarterback? Damn. But hey, I can't live in the past, I say. But Zach Sealer's a problem, dude. That front four is all right. Those guys on the inside, they are all right, man. Even though we're dealing with the limited edge rush and all that, Agba's playing with like a torn bicep, so the dude's, he's not as dynamic as we would want him to be. But, these guys out there trying. Some of these guys are just freaking held together by paper clips right now. But the defense, just holding in the red zone, giving up big plays, secondary getting burnt all day. Jets didn't really run the ball well, fortunately. Miami was pretty decent at that level, but it was just a passing game. It's just everybody's open. You don't need to run when 15 yards at the field. You got a guy that's wide open that's gonna catch it and go another 20 yards, right? Like, I don't do game balls, but if I did have a game ball, I would give it to Malik Washington just for like one thing, because he didn't get any catches today. Last week he has a huge fumble, muffed punt to start the game, set the tone for just the overall shit show that was the Thanksgiving game, right? But but he has a sick kick return. I mean, gets it and comes through, breaks one, coming up the sideline untouched, and he freight trained that Jets kicker, bro. Dude thought he was gonna go make a tackle. I mean, it was like Madden truck stick. Like, you just flicked up on the right thumbstick, and he just put the dude in the dirt. That was so funny. It was like Sean Taylor hitting a punter almost, like, it was that like intense of a hit. So, and he got him in range, not necessarily in field goal range right at the written, but I mean, you get the ball at like the 40, like midfield or whatever. I mean, it was just easy for Miami to get those yards, to be able to set up that game tying kick at the end of regulation, right? So Malik, I mean, game ball for you, kudos, have a drink on me, because I mean, without that, does Miami do it? I don't know. I truly don't know. But Malik made a play on special teams, and I appreciate you for it. We mentioned earlier, it wasn't the most entertaining, it wasn't the most beautiful game to watch. Like, there was parts of that game where it was just like, dude, like, even though I hate the Jets with like every fiber of my sports being, it's just like inherent in my core to hate the Jets. Even I was like, show some mercy on these guys for a minute here, because that game was so fucking ugly with the penalties. I mean, there'd be a time like 2-3 plays in a row that just, you look and there's a damn yellow flag on the field. And at one point I'm just like, dude, just let these guys play a little bit, like illegal motion, illegal shift, illegal man downfield, so many false start penalties. I mean, the Jets had 10 penalties for 83 yards, and those were the ones that were accepted, right? And Miami ain't so better in it, and they had 8 penalties of 49, and just like 18 penalties between the two teams that game. So ugly. But I mean, that's what like bad teams do. And I don't want to say the Dolphins are a bad team. They're definitely mediocre right now. And the Jets, they're a bad football team. But when you got like two teams that are just not very disciplined, I mean, it was just ugly to watch. So many plays would just get ruined because of penalty. Sacks being called back because of holdings or whatever. Big runs called back because of holding penalties. It's always the holding, or the Dolphins O-line is kind of like small, other than Tehran. One of those Paul dudes a freaking beast too. But they really like more nimble guys with good footwork, so they can get upfield and make those downfield blocks quicker. They're not like the real down in the mud trenches kinds of guys, but I mean, so that naturally leads to like so many illegal man down fields and all that. And with the penalties, like Achan had a huge run that was called back by a hold. Zach Sealer had a hold like earlier on a would have been a sack like the very next play. The defense gives up like a 35-yard pass, right? Killing all defensive momentum. So it's like these are the things that they have just refused to clean up all season. It seems it's like it's kind of just their mo, who they are. They play a little wild, they play a little reckless. They get called for a lot of penalties. I'd say what's his ass? Mike McDaniel doesn't run a very tight ship, and it shows on Sunday. But if you can find a way to win, we'll worry about cleaning it up next year, right? It's just parts of that game were just ugly to watch. But what's not ugly is getting a damn W. So to me, like that's really the true takeaway of the game is it doesn't matter how you do it, it doesn't matter who the opponent is, just win the damn game. Like you don't get style points. If we would have beat them by 40, would I feel better? Relatively, but I mean, come on. Who the hell didn't feel good after an overtime touchdown win? Like, I was freaking pumped up, excited. I'm sure you guys were too. Just like, fucking going mad running around my house. So, I don't care who the opponent is. Just win the game, Like, just win the game. Did we talk about Zach Sealer? Yeah, we did a little bit. Dude, 2 sacks, 3 quarterback hits. That dude is so tight. I didn't like the post-game press conference, Zacky's a cowboy. Dude, I don't know. The dude is just fucking awesome, right? I mean, that's a football player. That's a man, bro. So I'm happy to have him on the team. Sealing the edge, sealing the inside, sealing the deal, sealing up the hole in my heart from last week's L that they took. So, fuck it. And speaking of next, the next game is the game. Up next, we're on the road, thankfully in the dome, going to Houston. Houston's a good football team. They got 8 wins. They're a good football team, right? But they're beatable. Miami could beat them. You don't have to play perfect. Stroud isn't playing perfect. That offense isn't firing, I don't think, as efficiently and on all cylinders as they were last year, and they do have some injuries there. Stephon Diggs, we won't have to see because he's out. But they're going to be tough, bro. This is one of the top defenses in the league. I think they're like second in the league in sacks. And they don't allow a lot of yards. Like, they are stingy. So they're really going to have to game plan. You're really going to have to get all your weapons involved, Like Odell Beckham Jr., you're going to need more than 1 catch for 1 yard in the Sunday and the Houston game than, compared to what you got today, 1 for 1. Everybody's going to have to show up. They're going to try to take away your outside guys like everybody else has done, right? But then they're also going to game plan for Jonnu because, you take away the outside guys, Jonnu tears you up in the middle, right? That tight end position, the 3rd best receiver on our team. They're going to be game planning for him too. So when he's covered, you're going to have to find someone else to be your safety blanket to him. So figure that out. Figure out how to stop Stroud and those guys. And, bro, any given Sunday, right, it's well within the realm of possibility that they could beat Houston and, make a streak of winning. Because, look, we got 4 games left, man. Like, if we want to make the playoffs, we're going to need a lot of help, first of all. You're going to need Denver to lose, 2, maybe 3, probably 3 out of their last 4. You're going to need to win. You have to win. You have to beat Houston. You have to beat Houston. You have to beat Cleveland. You have to beat San Fran. You have to beat the Jets again. But it all starts this Sunday at what do they play? Allegiant Stadium or whatever against Houston. Gotta win that game. You putting up 32 points. Hopefully does it. Got QB1 playing some of his most spirited ball. Yeah, I don't want to knock on wood. I don't want to jinx the guy because he's not throwing no interceptions. And the beautiful thing is, he hasn't really even been putting the ball in those areas that it could potentially be picked. Because Tua used to be so good for at least once or twice a game, just throwing the ball at an area of the field where there's no receiver and there's defenders, and just bounce off a guy's hand, he wouldn't catch it. He's gotten lucky a few times, but he hasn't even put himself in that position. The dude's been balling, playing his most cerebral football, I think, of his career. Even though last year's offense was so much better, the player of Tua, the thinker, the guy that's going through the reads and the motions is better. I'm hoping that he's getting to that point where the game is starting to slow down for him, and then that's gonna be it. He's gonna lead us to some good places. So anyway, let me finish this drink, stop my rambling, finish the video, and I will see you next week as hopefully the Dolphins get back to 500, right? Because like I said, we beat the Jets earlier, 32-26 in overtime. We started the game 5-7, ended it 6-7. Hopefully, next time we see each other, Dolphins are at that 500 mark, right? Hey, it could happen. It hopefully will happen. And we'll be here for it. So once again, thank you for coming to the Dolphins Dive Bar. I am your host, Tony Two Times, a.k.a. Chicky, a.k.a. Happy Boy, a.k.a. Brugal Boy. Oh, shit, not even Brugal Boy, a.k.a. Barcelo Boy. And we'll talk next weekend. All right.